boss here. And even though you might be pretty valuable out there, you better get a hold of yourself. I'm not going to sit here and take this. God damn it.
Ah, Dabney Coleman. The man, the myth, the mustache. One of the most well-respected character actors in Hollywood, Dabney Coleman has had a long and storied career on both stage and screen. Beginning largely in TV with guest roles on everything from The Donna Reed Show to Mary Tyler Moore, Coleman began getting more prominent work in films, such as his role as one of the deputy fire chiefs in 1974's The Towering Inferno. But it was the 80s which established Coleman as one of the best actors in film, and it wasn't at all unusual to see him in everything from serious character dramas to oddball comedies. However, for most of us who grew up in the 80s, we associate Coleman primarily with one of three films. And we're going to look at all three in the next few episodes of Saturd80s as we examine what I like to call the Dabney Coleman Trilogy. To start things off, we look at the movie that brought Coleman to prominence and cemented his role as the ultimate comedic villain as Franklin M. Hart Jr. in the classic 80s workplace comedy, 9 to 5. Released in 1980, 9 to 5 was the brainchild of star Jane Fonda, who had just formed her own production company and was looking for a project. A friend had started an association of female office workers in Boston called 9 to 5, and according to Fonda, they had some great stories to share. Fonda felt that these stories could be turned into an interesting film starring three female leads and hired Patricia Resnick to write the script. Resnick's initial draft was a drama, but it just didn't seem to click. Fonda felt the script was too preachy and too much of a hardcore feminist line. Remember, Jane Fonda said this. Fonda had always wanted to work with comedian Lily Tomlin, and after mentioning this to her business partner, they realized the best way to approach the script was to make it a comedy. Lily Tomlin was cast, and country singer-songwriter Dolly Parton took the third slot, this being her feature film debut. Director Colin Higgins was brought on board to rewrite the script as a comedy with the mandate to make a movie that showed, quote, "You can run an office without the boss, but you can't run it without the secretaries," unquote. After the opening credits featuring the hit song written and performed by Parton for the movie, we open on Judy Burnley, played by Fonda, as she begins her first day at the offices of Consolidated Companies Incorporated. However, this appears to be Judy's first real job, much to the chagrin of office supervisor Violet Newstead, played by Tomlin.
I am sympathetic, Norman, but please, why do I have to train her? Let her work in someone else's section.
She's very willing, and she needs the job. She's recently divorced.
And I'm a widow with 4 kids. Jerry should never have died. I'd be better off. I could have divorced him.
Arriving on the 12th floor, Violet and Judy encounter Roz Keith, executive assistant to Mr. Hart, the vice president of the company. And it's here we get our first inkling of what kind of boss Hart is.
No coffee cups on the desks, no personal items left in view, photos, plants, etc. We mustn't look cluttered or sloppy. An office that looks efficient is efficient, as Mr. Hart says.
One thing you should know about dear Roz, she is the eyes, ears, nose, and throat of Mr. Hart. Anything she hears, he hears.
You mean she's a company spy?
Shh, I wouldn't say that. I would just say that if you want to gossip in the ladies' room, I'd check first under the stalls for her shoes. I report directly to Mr. Hart. That's his office over there. He was just made vice president. I have never seen anyone leapfrog so fast to the top in my life. And I have the bad back to prove it. I remember when he was just a management trainee. In fact, I'm the one who trained him.
And as for his management style...
A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Its weakest link. God damn it. Can I get this chair fixed? Well, I'm not going to bore you with a long harangue. Just suffice to say that it is a jungle out there, but if we all work together, we can cut the balls off the competition and be sitting pretty right on top of the hill.
Charming. But it gets even better. After some backhanded remarks about the attractiveness of some of the other female employees, Hart asks Violet to go shopping for a gift for his wife. And when Violet respectfully declines, Hart starts to turn nasty.
All I'm saying, Mr. Hart, is that my job description doesn't say anything about making purchases for your wife.
And all I'm saying is that I like people around me who are flexible and get along. So when I ask an employee, especially one who wants to be promoted to management, I expect a little cooperation. You savvy?
Savvy.
After leaving Hart's office, we meet his secretary, Dora Lee Rhodes, played by Parton. While Dora Lee is charming and pleasant to everyone in the office, there's a nasty rumor going around that she's having an affair with Hart. As such, she's treated something like a pariah in the office on top of her usual day-to-day harassments.
You know, ever since I made that stupid mistake about the convention in San Francisco,
Oh, Mr. Hart, you didn't make a mistake. You see, I'll just have to make sure that the next time I'm asked to go to work at a convention, that there is a convention going on.
Dora Lee, I'm a rich man. I've got a checkbook over on that desk. You just say the word and you can write your own figure.
Oh, I could do that now, Mr. Hart. I sign your name better than you do.
No, Dora Lee, I'm serious. Don't you understand? I am crazy about you. You're all I ever think about.
Mr. Hart, I've told you before, I'm a married woman.
And I'm a married man. That's what makes it so perfect.
Fortunately, before things can get out of hand, Hart's wife Missy arrives to show travel brochures for a month-long cruise, which doesn't please Hart in the least, and illustrates another of his foibles.
4 weeks of sunshine, Frank.
4 weeks? What, are you out of your mind? You think I'm going to spend 4 weeks of my life drifting around on that Dago boat?
Violet is naturally annoyed that Dora Lee has walked out of Hart's office with the scarf she bought, and Judy winds up on the wrong side of Hart when she has a mishap in the Xerox room.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hart. I thought I could keep up.
Wait a minute. Weren't you checked out on this machine? I mean, any moron could operate this thing.
I was.
Yeah?
I know what to do now, sir.
You do? Well, then I suggest you do it. Or your first day will be your last. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, now clean this mess up and get back to work.
Yes, sir.
The next day, Dora Lee invites Judy to lunch, but because her husband left her for his own secretary, Judy gives Dora Lee the cold shoulder. This naturally perplexes Dora Lee, who has no idea about the rumors flying around the office.
You know, I just don't get it, Dwayne.
What's that, honey?
I'm as nice as I know how to be to every single person down at that office. Everybody treats me like a bastard at a family reunion.
Meanwhile, Violet follows up with Hart on a report she presented to him about color-coding the company accounts. Hart says he still needs to review it, and then promptly claims the idea is his own and presents it to Mr. Hinkle, the president of the company. Violet keeps her mouth shut as she doesn't want to jeopardize her chances for promotion. However, 6 weeks later...
What? Now, let me finish, okay? And don't go flying off the handle.
You gave that promotion to Bob Enright instead of me? I've got 5 years seniority over him.
I know that.
For Christ's sake, I trained him.
I know that, but see, the company...
Oh, the company bullshit. It's your decision. You promoted him. You tell me why.
Look, my hands are tied here. The company needs a man in this position. Clients would rather deal with men when it comes to figures.
Oh, now we're getting at it. I lose a promotion because of some idiot prejudice. The boys in the club are threatened, and you're so intimidated by any woman that won't sit at the back of the bus.
Spare me the women's lib crap, okay?
And in justifiably righteous fury, Violet clues Dora Lee in on why everyone doesn't seem to like her. Like Violet, Dora Lee does not take this news well.
Look, I got a gun out there in my purse. And up to now, I've been forgiven and forgetting because of the way I was brought up. But I'll tell you one thing. If you ever say another word about me or make another indecent proposal, I'm going to get that gun of mine, and I'm going to change you from a rooster to a hen with one shot. Don't think I can't do it.
Shit.
And to drive it home, Roz brings Hart some information which costs one of the other women in the office their job.
Maria Delgado was in the ladies' room speaking to a girl whose voice I didn't recognize when I distinctly overheard her reveal her salary and make estimates of yours and mine.
Get rid of her. Dismiss her.
It isn't as if she hasn't been warned. I clearly outlined in my
Did
memo...
you hear what I said? Fire the bitch.
As Maria is removed from the office, Judy goes in search of Violet. The three wind up at the same bar, commiserating.
We've got to do something. He can't just treat people like that.
Do what's to do. Quit?
Well, I can't quit.
It's the same all over anyway.
Well, look, couldn't we just all get together and complain?
Complain to who?
Let's face it, we are in a pink-collar ghetto. Let's have another drink.
Violet finds a joint given to her by her teenage son, and the three decide to blow off some steam at Dora Lee's house. This leads to 3 fantasy sequences, as each of them describe what they'd like to do to Hart in revenge. First up, Judy.
Hello, Hart. Looks like you've gotten yourself in a spot of trouble.
Judy? Judy, you've got to help me. That mob has gone crazy out there. They're trying to kill me.
Well, why would they want to do a nasty thing like that?
I don't know. I'm not such a bad guy.
You're a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot.
So I have a few faults. Who doesn't? Is that any reason to kill me?
Goodbye, boss man. It's quitting time.
You can't mean this.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Why me? I'm just an
5,
ordinary guy
6,
trying to do his job.
7, 8, 9,
Holy shit.
10.
Hi.
By contrast, Dorothy is more interested in repaying in kind.
One little kiss?
No.
What's that gonna hurt?
No.
Who's gonna know?
No, no, I won't. I won't kiss that. No, no, please.
Frank, you get back here. Frank, I'm warning you. Come back here.
And he's out of the chute, ladies and gentlemen. He's out of the chute. Look at him. That's a big bold hitter from the high glass tower. Nails Miss Dora Lee Rose. She's going to try to rope this Miss Scott. She's already got him down, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see how long it takes her to hog-tie this sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot. 5 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. Just 5 seconds.
And as for Violet, well, how does Disney by way of Hitchcock sound?
I think there was something in that coffee.
I think you're right.
I think it was poison.
Right again.
I think you did it. Oh. But why? Why?
Why do you think?
Because I'm a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot?
Bingo.
This proves to be prophetic for the next day when Hart demands Violet get him some coffee, and Violet accidentally puts rat poison in it, thanks to the box looking similar to the brand of artificial sweetener the office uses. Fortunately for Violet, the broken chair finally dumps Hart out, causing him to knock himself out on the credenza before he can drink any of it. Dora Lee discovers Hart and has him taken to the hospital. At the end of the day, however, Violet discovers her mistake and makes another one, assuming Hart's been poisoned when Roz confirms the coffee cup was on the floor next to him. At the hospital, Dora Lee does the paperwork and Hart comes too. The doctor tries to convince him to stay, but Hart refuses treatment. As he leaves the examination room, a patient is brought in undergoing cardiac arrest who is apparently a witness in a police case. Violet and Judy arrive and tell Dora Lee what's happened. None of them see Hart leave the room, which causes Violet to panic even more when the doctor reports to the police that the patient is dead.
I'm finished. I'm a murderer.
No, you're not.
I'm a murderess.
Poor kids. Violet, you're nothing until proven guilty.
You know they're gonna find the poison when they do the autopsy on the body.
I'm gonna get rid of the poison.
No, no.
I'll get rid of the body.
No, Violet, it's not murder. There are extenuating circumstances. It was an accident.
An accident? She was thinking about doing it last night. We were all thinking about doing it last night.
And if that weren't enough, she decides to get rid of the body. Yes, seriously. After stealing the body, impersonating the doctor, scaring the hell out of Judy and Dora Lee, and crashing into a dumpster, the three finally discover their mistake. And as you'd expect, tempers start running high.
I
Why do you keep staring at me? What about...
Will you two shut up?
After a harrowing experience with a traffic cop who pulls them over when he sees Violet's blinker still going off, the three manage to return to the hospital. Dora Lee and Judy try to find out what happened to Hart, but are unsuccessful. And as for the body...
Hey, Vera, we got another stiff in the John.
The next day at the office, much to the surprise of all three of them, Hart arrives as normal and it appears they've gotten away with it. But it turns out Roz has upped her game.
Maybe they knew you were hiding. Just pulling your leg.
I don't think so. In any event, I think you should be aware of that coffee business.
Yeah, I think I can use that to some advantage.
Hart uses this information to try to blackmail Dora Lee to come to his house that night. However, Dora Lee takes action and ties Hart up with the phone cord to stop him from calling the police. Dora Lee calls Judy to keep an eye on Hart while she goes in search of Violet. Hart takes advantage of Judy's soft nature and tries to escape and call the police. Judy is then forced to do something drastic.
Hold it right there.
My God, you're as crazy as the other two.
Close that door or I'll shoot.
Don't shoot! I give up!
And speaking of drastic action, the three kidnap Hart and hold him prisoner in his own house while they try to reason with him. Hart, naturally, will not be reasoned with. So, knowing what a louse he is, the three decide to see if they can find anything on him to counter-blackmail him with. After an all-night search, Violet finds an account book for Ajax's warehouse, which turns out to be empty. Hart has been selling off inventory from that warehouse belonging to Consolidated and pocketing the money. In order to prove it, Violet needs to order the invoices from the head office, which means keeping Hart prisoner for the next 3 or 4 days until they arrive. This requires them to get creative.
Judy will be staying here at night. Dora Lee will bring you your lunch, and in the daytime we have this little security system.
I paid for it on your master charge.
You three broads are out of your mind. You think you can keep me here for a week? For Christ's sake, I'm the boss. Don't you think I might be missed at the office?
Meanwhile, at the office, our three heroines manage to keep things running without Hart being missed. But they finally have 2 problems. The first is Roz and her insistence on seeing Hart. The second is a little more serious.
Well, I've got some bad news. Here's the telex from head office in New York. They've started the computer changeover. They won't be able to send us the inventory invoices for Ajax's warehouse for another 4 to 6 weeks.
Fortunately, Roz is easily dealt with. Thanks to Dora Lee's ability to forge Hart's signature, they send her off for an intensive 6-week language course under the ruse that Consolidated is opening offices overseas and will be looking for executives with foreign language skills. With Hart's wife on vacation, that leaves the three in a race to see if Hart can get free before the invoices arrive. And with the successful removal of Roz, the three decide to start implementing a few changes around the office, including repainting the office, allowing personal items on the desks, and some rather larger changes like the allowing of part-time work, job sharing programs, flexible work hours, an on-site daycare center, and equal pay based on position rather than gender. Additionally, Maria is rehired. However, it appears that someone is taking an interest in these sudden changes. Meanwhile, back at the house, Hart manages to find a nail file the three missed and begins working on his restraints with it. On top of all this, someone appears to be staking out the house. That night, the person watching the house is revealed to be Judy's ex-husband Dick, who apparently has ideas on reconciling with Judy. However, the two are interrupted when Hart manages to free one hand and starts messing with the restraint system. Dick hears the two struggling upstairs and goes to investigate, and as naturally assumes Judy is having a kinky affair with her boss. This leads to Judy calling out Dick for being a hypocrite and having the last word.
Fat chance. Back to what? Your leaving was the best thing that ever happened to me.
If that's the way you feel, there's nothing more to say.
Oh, yes, there is. Hit the road, Buster. This is where you get off.
The next day, Violet gets word that the invoices are scheduled to arrive on Friday, 3 days from now. Unfortunately, Missy arrives back from vacation early and discovers Hart. The three are clued in when Missy calls Dora Lee Friday morning to thank her for the flowers she sent under Hart's name and reveals she came back early. Dora Lee calls Violet and Judy and lets them know what happened. Violet checks out the warehouse only to discover all the missing product has been returned, and Judy claims Hart's still tied up. Of course, later, both Judy and Dora Lee discover this is untrue.
Judy.
You found your gun.
Hart takes the two of them back to the office only to encounter the changes the three enacted. He naturally doesn't like them. And when Violet arrives at the office, she gets the invoices, but naturally, they're worthless now.
Well, you've won. You've trumped our ace, so what are you going to do now?
Oh, I'm sorry, Violet. Why don't you sit down? Sit down over there. I'm just getting ready to play my last card. I'm going to send you 3 bitches to jail.
But just when all seems lost, a visit from on high.
What is it?
Tinsworthy's here.
Who's that?
Russell Tinsworthy, the goddamn chairman of the board. He's here to meet with me. All right, you just... Violet, you've got to stand by me.
As it turns out, the changes Violet, Judy, and Dora Lee implemented has resulted in the entire department having a 20% increase in productivity over the 6 weeks Hart was out of commission. And because it's his signature on the memos, he's getting the credit. Fortunately, Violet manages to cover for Hart's lack of knowledge, and Tinsworthy likes every change that's been made. Well, except one.
That equal pay thing, though, that's got to go.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. It's all right as an incentive, but we don't need to keep on priming the pump.
No, sir, I don't think so.
As a result, Tinsworthy has decided to issue Hart a promotion. In Brazil.
Tinsworthy, the jungle.
Hell, man. I'm offering you the chance of a lifetime. 2 or 3 years down there, and you'll never want to come back.
2 or 3 years?
You'll love it down there. Healthy climate.
Mr. Tinsworthy.
Hart. You let me tell you one thing. I ain't the kind of boy who takes no for an answer.
Yes, sir. Brazil.
And with Hart out of the picture, things finally start to happen for our heroines. Violet gets promoted to Hart's old job as vice president for remaining calm in a crisis. Judy fell in love with and later married the Xerox representative, and Dora Lee eventually left Consolidated to become a country and western singer, of course. And as for Hart... 9 to 5 remains one of the best office comedies ever made. In addition to some truly likable leads, it has a lot to say about corporate culture and even predicted some common programs that modern offices use today. Sadly, when it comes to gender relations in the workplace, it also still remains very, very relevant. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, and Dolly Parton have excellent chemistry together in the film, and while Fonda and Parton weren't exactly known for comedic work at this phase of their careers, they both comport themselves beautifully with Tomlin, and all three play off Dabney Coleman extremely well. Coleman portrays Frank Hart as the epitome of every bad boss you've ever had, whoever made it to the top without having actually earned it. Hart is basically how he's described in the movie.
Because I'm a sexist, egotistical, lying, hypocritical bigot.
Bingo.
And Coleman plays all this off beautifully with just enough broadness so you enjoy laughing at his misfortune. Lily Tomlin said during production that Coleman was often worried he wasn't being funny enough in his performance and would actually ask her if she thought he was doing a good job. Jane Fonda was also so impressed by Coleman's performance that she asked him to join the cast of her next major film, On Golden Pond. As many critics and fans agree, the performances of all four leads are what make this movie. See it sometime if you haven't before. You'll enjoy it. I'm Aaron Mills. Join me again next week for part 2 of the Dabney Coleman Trilogy on the next Saturd80s.
Well, I say we hire a couple of wranglers to go upstairs and beat the shit out of him.